David Axelrod has a plan, folks. Panic not. Fear not, Democrats. David Axelrod says Dems need a strong and strategic party leader with broad experience in communications, fundraising, and winning elections. One thought I surfaced on Hacks on Tap, which is his podcast, Ambassador RAHM Emanuel. There may be others, but he is kind of sui generis. I don't know what the fuck that means. What does that mean? Is that a sophisticated college term that I don't know because I'm stupid?
Okay, so I think he's playing on a term because I thought it was like sui generis, but maybe he's playing.
Maybe it's
on
a
that?
typo. Maybe it's a typo. Maybe he meant sui generis. Dude knows how to fight and win. That's right, David Axelrod. So for those who thought, hey, maybe this provides a real wake-up call, maybe it's a splash of cold water to the face of the Democratic power players, David Axelrod says no. RAHM Emanuel is the man for the job. So here's a clip of his podcast where he and his co-hosts here make the case.
I would do if they said, well, what should we do? Who should lead the party? I would take Ambassador RAHM Emanuel and I would bring him back from Japan and I would appoint him chairman of the Democratic National Committee because he is the most skillful political kind of infighter in the Democratic Party. He's been a member of Congress. He's been White House Chief of Staff. He's been the mayor of Chicago. Now he's been ambassador to Japan. And he ran in 2005 and 6 the campaign to take back the House when Democrats were trying to take back the House of Representatives. He knows how to do this, and he would be a presence in the media and so on, fearless about taking on Trump. I think that would be a really smart move. The DNC
how many people in this room know who RAHM Emanuel is?
Well, they all do.
Chicago.
You're in Chicago.
How many people in this room know that RAHM Emanuel is missing half a finger?
Yeah.
How many people in this room know that RAHM Emanuel is missing half of his middle finger?
Not
very many.
And yet
it
he
is the
still
greatest
gets
thing
his
in the world
point
because
across.
he can give someone the bird right to their face, and it's not totally clear that he's flipping them off. It's a great asset. Trust me, he's tried that trick about 1,000 times.
Tell a quick RAHM story, and then I'm going to
RAHM with half a
David's
finger is
idea.
a speech impediment.
When years ago, when he was mayor, Axe and I went to a Bulls game, the great believer here, and we were having a lot of fun. And Axe said, "Look across the court, there's RAHM," and we waved, and somebody handed us binoculars, and he pointed at me and gave me the bird. So he is exactly the right guy. And I pitched the same thing on Substack earlier today. So great minds think alike. But I would not make him chairman of the DNC. I would make him dictator of the DNC.
Oh, good.
Because one weakness the Dems have is, all right, let's get the campaign circle together. All 23 of us, we all must be heard. Fuck that stuff. It's war. Republicans tend to have a much narrower command, and he is exactly the right guy for that.
You think
job.
the title would go over, though? I don't know.
Oh,
Everybody's a little ouchy about the whole dictator thing right now.
To get a dictator, get a dictator.
To get a dictator, get a dictator. Bragging about what a fucking pick RAHM Emanuel is, as if the Democrats' problem this cycle was they just weren't nasty enough to Donald Trump. They just don't hate Donald Trump enough. There's just not enough
I don't
poison
think
spewing
people
from their
picked up
mouths.
on it. Yeah.
Like what we really need is a fighter, and by a fighter we mean an absolute bottom-feeding prick like RAHM Emanuel, who, when he's missing half a finger, that's a speech impediment, meaning he's so used to giving people the bird and the fuck you. Like the idea that you need to be nastier to Donald Trump, as if your whole brand for the last 8 years was not Trump hate. Yeah, they're acting like we were you were too weak. You didn't hit Trump hard enough. I read an interesting piece.
Sui generis is in a class of its own.
Oh, okay. There you go. So that's what he meant there. He just did a typo. I mean, like, your whole brand these past 8 years has been nothing but Trump hate. Trump hate. That's it. That's what Kamala's brand was. A Republican who's not a January 6th. That's why Liz Cheney backed her. Like, that is what you ran on. That is what got you there. You really think the way out is another Obama? He helped us in 2005 and 2006. That's the problem. You haven't had a new voice in that long. They are just so attached to this. This is why it's a dying party. They have no ideas. They have no ideas. They have no nothing. Zero. Absolutely nothing. And people are starting to push back. So these are people who ostensibly follow David Axelrod. Lorenzo Maldonado, no thank you. Hard pass. 2 words. Laquan McDonald, yes, whose murder Rahm Emanuel covered up as mayor of Chicago. Once more, just total contempt for the base of the party, which is still African-American voters, despite the inroads that Trump made. Oh, yeah, Rahm Emanuel. Ibrahim Zabad, aren't you one of those who advised the Democratic Party and led to this massive loss? Should really be a death knell for the Democratic Party. Those whose advice led to a disaster should take a break, a long one.
But they never will, because that's the point.
Exactly.
It's the point. It's not a political party. It's a professional opportunity.
Yes, exactly. And especially to insiders on an insidery podcast like David Axelrod's, that's how they think. Right. That's how they think. Oh, hey, I remember we were at a Chicago Bulls game. He gave the guy the finger from across the court. That's evidence he should lead the Democratic Party after they just took a complete bath after 8 years of running on Trump derangement syndrome. That's what you need. You need more partisan, petty anger in the party, apparently. Sit down, Dave, says screams children removed. Over there next to Rahm, neither of you two say anything for the next 4 years. I said, really trying to shore up the Boardwalk Empire background extra vote. Making Rahm Emanuel. That's what he looks like. That guy looks like a character out of Boardwalk Empire. Looks like an old-time gangster.
I could see that.
Like one of Al Capone's bootleggers, like in the crew, you know. That's Rahm Emanuel. That's what I think when I see Rahm Emanuel. So, yeah, that's his idea. So any hopes you had for this being a wake-up call? Like I said, they always posture for a few days that it was a wake-up call. And then a week
Bernie
later, it's
made
back
some
to,
good points.
Yeah, exactly. Always
well,
reverse
and
to
what's
that.
we talk a lot about the peasant mind regarding kind of the libertarian adjacent, but the peasant mind for libs are the people who listen to this and think it makes good sense. These people get so brainwashed that they get excited, and I know people like this. I really do. I know it's hard to imagine. Usually, when I get together with them, my tongue is bleeding from biting it afterwards. 'Cause otherwise there'd be no more relationship. But yeah, no, I know people like this who are very excited about Rahm Emanuel, who will talk about politics in those terms, about how interesting it is that he's the brother of Ari Emanuel, who was the basis for the agent on Entourage. And that's how the media, that's how figures like Axelrod massage your brain. That's how they teach you to think about this. I shared this tweet a while ago. Somebody had a picture of Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton, and the legend was, I know this would never happen in a million years, but God, what I would fucking give for this ticket. That is the lib peasant mind.
Yep.
That is the lib peasant mind. Like that, how fucking brainwashed do you have to be that lives in your headspace? You know what would be so cool? Kamala.
Yeah.
Like, wow, what did they do to you, man? That makes that you. What do you think that would do for you?
Right.
Like, what advantage would that have? Like, okay, so suppose they won, what? Because you would own the chuds. Is that what it is? I mean, that's really what it is, right?
Oh, of course.
I mean,
yeah,
you'd own them.
That's
wow,
what politics is. Yeah.
that would drive them crazy.
Well,
that would drive them crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, this relates back to our previous segment. When you don't have problems that politics can solve, that's what it's all about. It's just all a virtue signal. It's all about trolling the other side, right? I mean, that's basically their ethos. And to get excited about a potential Kamala Hillary ticket. I mean, these are the kind of people who absorb these ideas. Why would anybody? I mean, who would listen to a David Axelrod Dem Insider podcast a week after this blowout? Like, how could you actually value what they have to say at this moment in time? I came across this because it made headlines that he floated Rahm Emanuel. And so then I listened, because it's always more interesting to play audio for the audience than to read about it. So I listened to it. I'm like, Jesus Christ, who can fucking... Thank God I did a word search, so I was able to like figure out where in the podcast they said this, so I didn't have to listen to the whole thing because it was toward the end.
And you can do that?
You can, apparently, on Apple Podcasts. You could do a word search of the transcript.
Do that.
That's a very useful tool. Yeah, absolutely.
It'll give you the timestamp. It'll tell you
not the timestamp,
where.
but you can get like an idea Like
an
I could
idea
see
of
this
where
was
it
toward
would
the
be.
end, so I could
Right,
at least
right,
skip the
right.
first 45 minutes.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how that works.
Please clap.